Welcome to Extra Time with Girls on the Ball, coming to you live from the Dominican Republic because we are covering the Under-17 FIFA Women's World Cup. All the thanks to Xero, they've helped us get out here, so we are super excited to bring you all of this content across the coming week. I'm Rachel.
I'm Sophie.
And this is Extra Time with Girls on the Ball. Right, Sophie. We've arrived. We made it.
We have.
This is an exciting week for us.
Yeah, you put me in a wind tunnel here.
I had a bit of a wind tunnel. This is our balcony.
The hair is not going to love this.
Sophie just told me before we went on that she had not brought a snapback to the Caribbean. And that just seems like a highly unprepared Sophie.
Well, yeah, I mean, that shows how rushed this whole process was. I was totally not prepared for it.
We were prepared, but maybe not to the extent we should have been.
I was prepared football-wise, but not like life.
It's one of those
looking
like,
after myself.
Well, that's you all over. I think when normally we're covering a major tournament, you've got like a little bit of leeway going into it, right? Whereas we've just literally gone from WSL, all that goes into that, and the stuff we do after that on the Mondays and Tuesdays, and then Tuesday night we're flying to this Under-17 World Cup. So, yeah, it's been an exciting and eventful couple of days. I was going to say weeks, days, to get this off the ground. But we're super excited to bring you all that we can from over here. If you do hear unusual noises, we are outside. If you're listening in your headphones on your podcast apps, we are outside on a balcony. There's lots going on down behind us, but we wanted to give those of you watching on YouTube, I want to say give you a little bit of a nice view, kind of make you jealous, not going to lie. But do make sure you are subscribed because we will be bringing out podcasts across the coming weeks around the Under-17s. There's, of course, going to be plenty of content across our other channels as well, so make sure you're following us there too. Sophie, we're going to kick this off because this has been something you've been been a passion of yours for a very long time. Obviously, I'm very keen on covering the underage groups as well, but it's something that's been really close to your heart for a very long time. And you've done such a good job, a lot of the time on your own, covering these tournaments because I've been at home doing some of the work stuff that we've been doing. And now we get to come out here together and do a tournament. This is special for you too.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, pretty special. I think it's probably, I said to you, it was a dream come true kind of to be out here. And I think when England qualified back in May in the Euros, they got to the final of the Euros. As soon as that happened, I messaged you and I messaged Remy and I said, is there any way you can get us to the Dominican Republic? I don't care how it happens, but can we go? And I think, yes, for me, it's been a massive passion. You know that. I take myself off in the summer sometimes to random places. I've spent 10 days in a village in the Czech Republic and all of these places over the years. So it's been a good 12-year stint of covering the youth groups and seeing the pathways and seeing players grow up from being 17 years old to the senior team like a Leah Williamson or a Lauren Hemp. So it's very, very special.
It is. So we will kick off with England, of course, and then we will touch on what's coming up for them, what's coming up for us in the coming days as well. So we had match day 1 last night. So the whole time zone thing is very confusing because technically the game was today for you, but for us was yesterday. So we'll start, of course, with England. Match day 1 in Santiago, Kenya versus England, an intriguing fixture. So if you mentioned pre-match about how this crop of youngsters probably haven't played that many teams outside of, say, Europe. So this group is going to provide them a real intriguing test. You've got Kenya, you've got Mexico, you've got North Korea. Loads can be gained from this.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously you want to come to these tournaments and your aim is to win them. And for the England team, it will be nothing less. But I guess I have the advantage of seeing it maybe a bit more holistically. And the fact that the development pathway for this group of players to be here in the Dominican Republic, somewhere that they've probably would never go to normally, to be able to come here, play football, play different cultures of football, play different styles of football, and get out. Because the problem with the thing about the youth pathways is it's very Eurocentric because they go through Euro qualification in the autumn, Euro qualification in the spring, and then hopefully Euros in the summer. So it's quite a rare opportunity that you get to have the time to play different nations from different areas of the world. So for their development, it's going to be fantastic. And I think it only goes to show, like, the last group of England under-17s that were in a World Cup and what they've gone on to achieve, like the Alessia Russos of the world, the Georgia Stanways, the Ella Toons.
2016, that was the last
2016. Time. But you look at that crop of youngsters now and see where they are today, and they're in the senior team. I think it goes to show how important these kind of tournaments are in their development.
So first half, England were dominant, but maybe not clinical enough. I think in that final third, maybe struggled a little bit to be composed in that moment. I thought Kenya did well to kind of put pressure on England in possession as well. What did you make of that first half?
As you say, England controlled the ball, definitely. I think they had their chances. They were maybe just where it fell away was that final third or final pass where they were just like, they'd all of the nice build-up and then it just wouldn't really come to anything. They had a couple of clear-cut chances as well that, on another day they'd put away. I think it was Isabel Fisher who fired over the bar, and then Omatara Junaid who got a good save from the keeper, so one-on-one. So I think it was a really... I guess it's that kind of first game vibes as well, right?
The nerves have got to be there, right?
You're in a World Cup. It's the first time for everything here, and it's going to take a bit of time to settle. The humidity in the heat is different level as well. So I know that will probably have had an effect. It's not an excuse, but it will have had an effect on them. And it's just about, always in tournaments, it's about getting that first win. So yes, they dominated the first half, maybe not so much the second half, but.
Yeah, so the second half, this is Kenya's first tournament as well, right?
Yeah.
So debutants as well. I'm actually was quite impressed by them, especially in the second half. They came out much better. They pressed higher. They created a couple of opportunities where they could have scored a goal. Definite nervy moments for England at the back.
Yeah, I think they were more defensive definitely in that first half, and they decided to come out and play in the second half. It was probably their game plan. Keep it tight, see if they could keep it to like 1-0 or something, or 0-0, and then they come out and play. And they had a few chances, and they were really good on the transition. I think they caught England sleeping at the back a couple of times with their strikers breaking through, but ultimately they didn't really test the goalkeeper.
So Lola Brown, of course, getting that goal in the first half, a penalty, and then in the second half, a wonderful solo effort from Lauren Thompson. She'd only just come on the pitch as a substitute, but it put the game to bed and took on a number of Kenyan defenders herself, nestling it in the bottom corner. Lovely celebration from them, from the players around that goal as well.
You're just saying that because you got the shot.
Well, I did, but also maybe when it's a penalty, players don't celebrate as much when they score. Maybe that's what it is. But there was definite celebration from her, which is lovely to see. And I guess maybe because they felt like, they'd been under pressure in the second half. They've gotten the second goal and they felt like, okay, we've won this game here. Who else stood out for you, would you feel?
I think the thing with that as well is that she just went on and had a shot. It wasn't so much about the build up so much. She just was more direct with it, and it came off. And it sometimes pays to be a bit more direct. I think take shots here and there and not just rely on like trying to build it up nicely and get it into the box.
Yeah,
everyone wants to score the perfect goal.
No, but we see that in
every level of
now.
football for sure. Other players who stood out, obviously Layla Harbert. I think she
got player of the match.
She got player of the match. Absolute quality in that midfield area, leads the team as well, and you can tell why. She's very, very technically gifted, but also really reads the game so well, and
very mature,
and very mature head on her as well. So she stood out. Lola stood out as well. We mentioned Lola Brown. I thought she was good down the left side, and you had quite a number of good performances, I think, to build on into the next game.
Absolutely. And we spoke to Natalie Henderson, coach, after the game. You did in the mix zone to find out what she thought of the team's first performance in the World Cup. Here's what she had to say.
Yeah, it feels really happy. We're happy that we got over the line. We're happy with the 3 points. But I know this team. I know how we are. We have high standards. There's certainly some bits tonight we felt we could have been better at. But a first game of a major tournament comes with nerves, comes with pressure. So we're just really grateful to be over the line and proud of that, essentially.
Well, you were really dominant in that first half, but maybe not quite clinical enough with it. What were the kind of messages at half time?
Yeah, I think we certainly felt like we could have had more patience in the final third and played our football more in their half. Something we've been working on, we didn't necessarily bring out tonight. I think we'll certainly look at that moving forward. But I think we could have used the ball better from an attacking point of view. But then I think when we do play our football, we create some really good chances, so we could have maybe capitalised on those a little bit more.
There's plenty of positives, I think, for them to take going into the next game. And I think just getting that first game out of the way as well is pretty key, right?
Yeah, Natalie, as you heard there, drew on their nerves. And like the fact that it was, as we've said before, probably normal for the first time at a World Cup to, not be fully at the races in terms of everything going succinct, like flowing and the passing and everything. It's always going to take a bit of time to ease yourself into a tournament. So for her, I think she has so much faith in this young group of players as well. She always had said about their standards, and when they think they've fallen below them with a poorer performance or whatever. But I think they can be pretty pleased with what they achieved, and hurdle number 1 done, you go into the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. As we said, this is their first under-17s World Cup since 2016. So it is a huge moment for these players, and it's something that Layla Harbert said post-match to you about what a dream it was to lead her team out. Here's what she had to say.
How did that feel when you were leading the team out at the start? That must have been pretty special.
Yeah, it was a bit emotional, to be honest. I think I've dreamed of that ever since I was a little girl. So yeah, it was a really proud moment for me.
So nice to hear that, because, dreaming about it since she was a little girl, it's not just, your senior levels and everything. Like, there's these moments in players' careers that are so pivotal.
It will stick with her forever.
Yeah.
Leading that team out last night against Kenya will stay with her forever. Memory.
More broadly, Soph, this is also the first major tournament that Dominican Republic have hosted.
Yes.
Which we've heard a lot since you've been here. There's a lot of excitement around it, and we've seen some branding around Santiago while we've been driven around in the various Ubers we've been in on the very bumpy roads over here. It's quite an experience being in a car in Dominican Republic. It reminds me a little bit of like Vietnam vibes, where everyone just kind of goes with the flow and doesn't really follow like the rules per se, but more like
seatbelts aren't always a thing.
Seatbelts aren't always a thing.
Sort of manufacture your own a little bit.
Stopping at junctions aren't always a thing.
Yeah.
It's more of a just and ever. So everyone just flows together. They love a car horn. They're less offended by car horns than we are.
We did get to a crossing yesterday where there were no traffic lights, and it was literally just like had to try and get to the other side of the road in the car, and it was just like this weird
sea of other cars.
Yeah, I don't know how, but eventually they all parted and let us through. So
It
don't know how
it works. They're very relaxed about it. Us less so in the back of the car, but it's definitely been an experience. But yes, there's a lot of excitement here. We went to the opening game, Dominican Republic against Ecuador, which was actually the second game, but technically the first game. I don't know. But it was the host, of course, opening, and really impressed with both sides. Of course, Dominican Republic hadn't been in a major tournament before either. Really impressed with their under-17 players. Like, they don't even have a women's league over here because baseball is king in Dominican Republic. Football's probably next on the list, but not so much for women. So this is a big moment for them. Funding from FIFA, they've got these pitches now. This is an opportunity.
It's huge. It's the first ever FIFA tournament to come, like World Cup tournament to come to this country. So it's absolutely huge. It's a starting point, I think, for them as a nation. And, for the young girls who are playing, it's a real proud moment, but also maybe starts to show that hopefully there's a pathway in the future. And for the seniors as well, to look at their under-17 cohort and say, they're hosting a World Cup, they've played in a World Cup, will only do to serve them really good. And I thought they were very technical.
Mm-hmm.
They were really good. The goals that they scored seemed to be more defensive frailties with their feet. They were really good with their head. Like reading defensive situations were really good. They just sometimes struggled to clear them. That was the 2 goals. But then, in attack, they should have scored a goal. And that would have been a really special moment. That header, she had her back to goal, flicked it on with the back of the head, and it was a brilliant save from the goalkeeper as well. But that would have been a dream moment for her.
It was a great atmosphere as well at the game. Fireworks beforehand. I think there was over 3,000 at the game, which is amazing for an under-17s tournament. Never mind an under-17s tournament in a country where women's football isn't that big. Like, that's incredible. So bodes well for them. We spoke to their manager through a translator, which was great crack, who was lovely, has played for the Dominican Republic at senior level, and is now managing the under-17s and a couple of other youth teams as well. So she was lovely to speak to, and you could sense the pride from her at the fact that they can host a tournament like this.
Definitely. I mean, it's just a special time, I guess, for that team. And a real moment to build off, I think.
It's quite nice as well for us when you come to something like, obviously getting to do this and cover this is a dream for us, but then to come to a country where it's their first time doing it, like, we know the impact hosting a major tournament can have. And you're that excitement of like, this could then foster something really exciting in the country.
Yeah, that's what it's about. That's why you host major tournaments. It's especially at this young age, and I think it's going to be interesting because next year we turn to an annual under-17 World Cup, and for the next 5 years it will be in Morocco. So it's kind of changing course. Maybe
by how that's going to work.
It's a change in course by FIFA. I think maybe the idea, I'm not entirely sure, but maybe the idea is that if coming in and doing it once, maybe doesn't always have the continued
The lasting impact.
Whereas maybe if like for the next 5 years Morocco has it and it's a continued like development plan, then that might be the option. But that doesn't take away from the fact that this is a huge moment for the Dominican Republic.
Absolutely. Okay, so next up then for England is Mexico on Sunday, our time. Monday midnight your time. So keep up. They lost 4-1 to North Korea yesterday. Another different type of test for Nat Henderson's side as well.
Yeah, I mean, you would think England are favourites in that one too, just because of the quality of the players that England have on their kind of roster. That's very American.
That is very
on their roster. But I think they would be favourites, but they have to be wary because, you know, we all know what Mexican football is about, and you know that kind of Latino flair, you would call it. So I think it will be interesting. Yeah, they did struggle a bit against North Korea last night. I think North Korea are probably the favourites in the group, so they will be England's sternest test. But that doesn't mean that Mexico will just be a walk in the park.
No, absolutely not. We will be bringing you all the action from that match and England's final match as well. So you can keep up with all of our coverage over here. We're doing some extra podcast episodes as well around the tournament as it goes on. So make sure you subscribe. You won't miss any of that. And also make sure you're following us on our socials, because then you can catch up with all the other content that we're going to be putting out as well. But otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in and joining us here in the Dominican Republic. We'll be back again to chat to you very soon.